Hi guys. I'm putting my sound back on. Hey guys. Today, make sure my sound's on actually. Give me a sec. It is. Wait, I'm trying to look it. Okay. Anyways, hi guys. So, if you read the title, we're kind of just gonna be streaming and ranting today. Not really much to do tonight. I'm having issues with sleep, so that make it useful for once. She's gonna scare me. Um, okay. That's a lot of stuff. Anyways, so, again, hi guys. Honestly, I'll just go straight into the ranting. That's probably why you joined. Um, just a heads up, what I was ranting about today would mostly be about Taddock or the Amazing Little Circus, or Sam's, the Sun and Moon Show. And if you don't know anything about those, I'd go check it out. They're really great. Taddock is a great show, and the Sun and Moon Show is a great channel. Um, so honestly, this is gonna do it. So, hi, my name's Andy. Nice to see you all tonight, or day, depending on where you are. Um, if you don't know me, that's completely fine. I am just a casual streamer. I'm not any professional person or known or anything. I write occasionally and post on Wattpad occasionally, but today we're just gonna be streaming and ranting. So on my first rant, so I've seen this a lot over TikTok. I haven't really seen it as much over YouTube, but I've seen this a lot on TikTok, and it's getting a little annoying for me. Is the debate on Jax's pronouns for the Amazing Digital Circus after the finale. If you know the Amazing Circus and you've been informed, Goose posted a tweet on Twitter, or X, I think it's called now. I believe so. They posted something on somewhere, whether it was X or Tumblr. Either way, I remember they posted something on any platform with the caption, Jax if she was an absolute piece of shit. Or something like that. I don't fully remember. Kind of going based off memory here. But I remember they posted that. I was informed they posted that. Which kind of confirmed the idea that Jax was trans. Which I already had this idea in my head. It made sense for her. And Goose had stated that you can use any pronouns with Jax. He, she, they don't care. Gooser doesn't care what pronouns you use for Jax. Personally, I use she, her for Jax because it's more comfortable and makes more sense for me to use she, her with our trans femme character. But as I said, I've been seeing a lot of conflict, especially on TikTok, with people who are using he, him pronouns for Jax, and are correcting those who choose to use she, her pronouns for Jax. And off the start, I can already tell you this: it's okay to have an opinion. Straight up, if you don't feel comfortable using she, her because Jax used he, him in the show, that's completely fine, understandable, honestly. But it gets to a point when I see it constantly, or people are constantly correcting people, saying it's he, him, or it's he. And I've only ever seen this from people when people are calling Jax her, or a girl. And I find that kind of hurtful, kind of annoying, honestly, because we were told we can use whatever pronouns. So that's just one thing that I've seen. I've never seen someone blatantly, say that Jax isn't trans. I've never seen that yet. As people say, it was little. I've seen people say who didn't notice this, but I've seen people who didn't notice any signs that Jax was trans. And honestly, I can kind of get it. I mean, I noticed pretty easily. Um, this is coming from someone who is a non-gender conforming person and who is trans, and so I'm transitioning from female to non-binary-ish, either non-binary or demigirl. I'm figuring that out myself. But as someone who has gender issues themselves, I kind of noticed how Jax was acting a little weird, and I kind of noticed it. Um, so I think people would say that, and honestly, that's complete fair. If you don't realize what's going on, that's completely fair to be confused on why people are saying, "Oh, but I didn't. There were no signs. It sounds so sudden." Honestly, I can understand that if you didn't realize. That's completely okay. Um, on to So I just want to get that out of the way. That I find that a little annoying. How people are constantly correcting people on the pronoun use for Jax. Again, personally, I use she/her. But also, it depends on the person I'm talking to. If it's a person who doesn't want to accept that fact that Jax is trans and will get mad at me constantly for saying she instead of he, I will use he/him. But I will usually use she/her because that is the pronouns that I believe should be used for Jax. Um, okay, okay, we're gonna go on to the next topic. My opinions on the Tadic finale. I loved the last episode. It was a big mix of angst, but also it was somewhat of a happy ending. I will say I will say one thing though. I'm not a huge fan on the whole brain scan ending. I mean, that was a me thing. I never got it. It didn't make much sense to me, in all honesty. I just felt like it would be more of a cohesive story if they were actually able to escape. Um, and of course, this is because I had been built on this theory where they actually escape and they're more like just in like a coma of sorts. I was a firm believer of that theory, and I also love that theory. Again, still completely respect Goose's decision to make it the way it ended. Um, that was my personal opinion on the ending. Other than that, I feel like another issue that I kind of just had with the whole show overall is the fact that I feel like Zubul and Gangle kind of turn into more background characters as the series progressed. And yes, I don't understand. Jax and Pomni were the main characters. Understandable. I got that from the bat. That was pretty easy to gather. I just feel like having Zubul and Gangle as the main cast, and still we barely know anything about them, kind of just felt like, okay, cool, we know these characters, but we don't actually know these characters. Um, and as someone who really likes Gangle and Zubul both, like I like all the characters, but I really like Gangle specifically. It was a little upsetting to not get much lore on her. Um, oh, there's a lush forest. Oh, that's cool. Anyways, sorry I got distracted. On the other note, I thought the finale was amazing. I thought in seat. I saw it in theaters. Sorry, talking. I saw it in theaters. It was amazing. I personally loved it. I loved the experience. I saw so many cosplays. It was so much fun. Um, but I will. But again, I just maybe it was a me thing, but I didn't really like the whole brain scan thing. It didn't make much sense to me. Um, Again, still respect Goose's decision to make it that way. Um, Keeping with Tadic, though, I'm moving into ships. These are ships that I do ship, ships I used to, and ships I probably will never or don't ship. Um, Never have or never will. So just starting off, ships I do ship, and I'm a multi-shipper, so please be respectful. I multi-shipper, I ship a lot of things in the same fandoms, meaning I will ship characters with other characters, like one character with multiple characters without it being a polycule or polyamory. I just, my, I'm a multi-shipper, I agree with many ships. Start off the bat, I ship both Funny Bunny and Ragapalm, which is Jackson Pomni, and then Pomni and Ragatha. I find these two ships very beautiful. I honestly love them both. I've been a Funny Bunny shipper from the start, but I understand why people ship Ragapalm. It's a very cute ship. It's very adorable and everything. So, again, multi-shipper, I agree with both. They're both really cute. I never argue with people who like either one. Um, the only other ships that I actually, you know, ship are probably Bluetooth, which is the Moon, and Kane. Other than that, other than Abstragedy, which is Zubu and Gangle, not many that I actually ship. What the? Sorry, not many others that I really ship. I will say this. I used to ship Royalties. Royalties is King and Kane. I used to ship this. I thought it was kind of interesting. Then I realized, what the? Then I realized it kind of, what the heck? I'm so glad I'm on peaceful mode. Anyways. Oh my gosh, there's a lush cave. That's amazing. Sorry. I like used this world once for like a 14-minute stream. Um, back to what I was saying though. For ships that I probably will never ship for my own reasons, and I will explain these reasons. Um, Zubul and Jax, just I don't see it. I don't get it. I know I think the biggest reason people shipped them was because I believe Michael and Ashley, the voice actors of Zubul and Jax, were dating at one point, and honestly, I find that honestly more weird than just shipping characters who have nothing in common and are seen constantly fighting. Again, no hate to anyone who ships this, just generally I don't see what the big deal is with this ship. Personally, again, it makes no sense to me. Um, but of course, ship what you want. I'm not going to control that. That's not my place to control it. Um, what I will say, for, again, personal preferences, I'd not ship it. Another stuff that I don't ship, Ribbon, which is Jax and Gangle. I don't see it, never have, probably never will. It just seems toxic to me, personally. I mean, maybe if it was a whole other AU where, Jax wasn't a total asshole. Maybe, yeah, maybe it would work out. But in the sense of the canon universe, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. This is something that also goes with me for, kind of also goes with me for Bunny Doll. And I'm not too opposed to it, honestly. I don't see them being in a healthy relationship. I think the only way I'd ever actually put them in a relationship together is if it was, again, multi-shipper, with a V with Ragatha and Jax dating Pomni, but they're not dating each other. I can see that happening. And, they constantly get jealous of each other because they need angst in there. Or just, random stuff. And honestly, though. Oh, anyways. And honestly, other than that, I don't have many ships I don't really like. Anything with Kane, I've kind of just avoided. I don't like it. That isn't Bluetooth. Just personally, just because of personal preference, I don't think it fits. I've seen Showtime, which is Pomni and Kane, which it's a decent ship. I don't get it, besides the fact that Kane has in the series has shown favor to Pomni, like he has favored her over characters. Same for favoring Jax over other characters, which causes bunny teeth, which these names are something. But we go with it. um, You're just my opinions. Everyone have their own opinion. Just because I don't ship them or I don't like them doesn't mean you can't. Other than that, I don't really have many other ships that I think of at the moment that I've actually ever seen. Um, so, moving on to the Sun and Moon show. I have a lot of opinions on this channel. Some good, some bad. So firstly, we're gonna start off a little strongly. My opinions on the channel going from the beginning to the current state, which I have not been watching recently because attention span sucks. Um, shouldn't be like that forever. Okay, so I was there round about when Solar got introduced. I joined like really late. I didn't know it existed. I had been into Security Breach and Naked Penance for like ever though. So of course when, a new show popped up, I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm kind of excited to watch this. I will say this, from someone who has kind of been there, I prefer the old Sun and Moon show as a preference because multiple things have changed. Number one, I feel like the acting has changed a lot. And I get characters change and everything, and voice actors change. I just feel like it changed drastically to the point where it's like how did we get from point A to point B? How did we get from the separation of Sun and Moon to where we are now, where there's other dimensions? There is Monty and Tara are married. There's other Lunar and Earths. There's a bunch of these other characters that have been added, and I'm nothing opposed to the new version, to the reboot, if you would say, of the Sun and Moon show. I'm not opposed to it. I still watch the videos occasionally. I honestly like some of the videos. Oh my gosh, sorry, my pickup keeps breaking and it makes me mad. But, like I said, I personally find the change very drastic. And other people have said this too. Another thing someone has pointed out to me, which I will say this, I occasionally have trouble with remembering pronouns. And I will say this full on confidence. I know that I'm in the wrong for this. As someone who is part of who has people and knows people who are going by a different gender or pronouns, whatever. Same, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. I feel like someone pointed this out to me, and I'm like, they're not wrong. I don't really notice the dialogue that much. I kind of just go with it because I honestly just couldn't care less about dialogue. People have been noticing that with their new character, Dahlia, I believe I'm saying his name correctly, with the character Dahlia, it has been shown that even the voice actors can't use his pronouns correctly and continuously just go on with they instead of he. And honestly, I don't get why you'd make a feminine presenting male character if you, and I've seen people say this also, I don't know why they'd make a feminine presenting male character without being able to actually uphold to the pronouns. I mean, I get it in the beginning, like, you're still getting used to it. I mean, I've met people who are, masculine presenting, but go by she, they pronouns. And of course, it takes me a bit, but I get used to it, and I try my best. And, I will say one thing is, in real life, you can't control someone's pronouns. But when you're making the story and the characters up yourself, you have full control over their looks, their appearances, the pronouns they go by. And yes, I am very aware that Dahlia was made from the Make a Sun form. I am fully aware of this. Sorry, my voice sounds really congested with my headphones on. So I can clear my throat. But back to what I was saying. Um, when you have that ability, make a character you can actually stick up for, and they do have good representation characters. Monty is a great representation of gender fluid, and I love that. They're an amazing character. I love Monty. Genuinely. I love them. Like Monty was such a great character, the improvement is beautiful. I loved it. And even with other channels like the fem dimension, the gender bent dimension with Sonny and Mooney. That channel had a great representation with Roxas, and it was beautiful. I loved it. Um, and if they do such a good representation of these characters, but when you don't know how to abide by your own character's pronouns, I feel like it gets to a point where it's like, what are you actually doing this for? Is this for, like, what is this for? Because at this point, I don't know what it's for. And I completely understand, like, occasionally messing up. That's what happens in real life. Genuinely, that happens in real life too. If you, especially if it, even if it's someone you don't fully know, it's an adjustment when someone is somewhat presenting a different gender, but they go by the opposite pronoun. I'm speaking from experience. Um, I I often have to correct myself when talking about Amanda Huford, the voice actor of Agatha, because I was told they go by they them pronouns. I will occasionally mess up and go call them by she her pronouns, and I will correct myself because that's what you're supposed to do. And I completely understand if it's an issue, but it's an issue you have to fix as a person, and no one can make that change for you. You have to do that on your own. Um, and again, like I said, I understand occasionally messing up, but when it's such a big deal, just don't do it. Um, any other issues I have with the show aren't really much. I will say, personally, a lot of us have heard people saying there's other cases where they don't abide by characters' pronouns. One being Cosmo or Lunar. Personally, I honestly forgot that they were non-binary because it wasn't mentioned. It wasn't mentioned at all because they continued calling Cosmo by he him pronouns. And I genuinely forgot Cosmo was non-binary. I completely forgot that because it's not mentioned. Someone out there brought up the fact that Moon is agender. That is mentioned in, these are both mentioned in Q&As, which most people don't watch. I know some people watch them, but I don't think all people watch them. Sorry, voice. And again, these aren't brought up at all. Like, at all, at all. I think the only couple times any of the main characters, like, sexuality at all was, like, really brought up outside of Q&As. There was a couple times during, like, gaming videos where it would kind of, if you mentioned, sometimes during normal videos, or if you mentioned, um, and more on just, the general LGBTQ side of things. Not even LGBTQ, just general, like, things about the characters that we don't talk about enough, is, I remember that there was, this scene I absolutely loved. When Moon went to go talk to Eclipse, and Eclipse mentioned when Moon had made fun of Sun when he had asked Eclipse about he was wearing dresses. And I remember the video because, honestly, I love Sun. I love Sun as a character. Yes, he has plot armor. He does. But it's an awesome character. And, I might be biased, but I love Sun. Oh geez, that's a lot. Anyways, um, and again, oh geez, and again, I completely understand like every aspect. I try to understand every aspect of every character because that's what I try to do. And with that, you have to understand like, oh geez, you have to try to actually understand the character. I've seen many headcanons with Sun that correlates to that specific scene, where whether it be Sun is a feminine presenting male, he's trans. I've seen that headcanon, which I've seen it. It's honestly kind of adorable because I feel like it kind of makes sense, um, in a little bit in some ways. Um, Another thing that I've seen in the past that I honestly kind of love is the idea. I've also I've also loved the idea that people have said that Dahlia is actually a role model of sorts for Sun because that's the person he wants to be. He wants to be this feminine presenting guy because that's who he is. That's who Sun is. People point this out in sections where it's talking about like how he let Dazzle and was very comfortable with Dazzle putting makeup on him and talking about stuff like that. And they aren't wrong in that. They aren't wrong at all. They are completely correct in that statement. And it just makes sense for these headcanons to arise, but they don't talk about them. And that's the issue. Um, Sun's whole femininity thing has been brought up twice. Like, actually has been brought up twice. Once in a gaming video, and once with a talk with Eclipse between, and once, and the second time in a talk between Eclipse and Min. It has never been brought up from my knowledge ever again, and honestly, I find that upsetting because there is so much they could do with that that they just refuse to do. And um, I will quote one of my friends. I'm not gonna say their name. Uh, they are actually writing a comic of sorts. They're actually writing a comic for Digital Circus as a personal project, and one of their characters has either one of their characters or Jax themselves in this, either one of their OCs or Jax themselves is experiencing gender dysphoria in part of this comic. Um, they are cis. They have never felt any form of gender dysphoria, and they had specifically asked me, knowing that I was someone who experienced gender dysphoria, hey, would you be willing to help me with this? I don't feel it's right as a um, cisgendered person to be writing about gender dysphoria when I don't know what it feels like. And I find that statement honestly amazing. Cause they're right. They're absolutely right. Um, cause they're absolutely right. You can't fully write something out, especially when it comes to a character. You can't write out a character perfectly without experiencing it. I'm trying to think of an analogy for it. It's like trying to. I'm trying to think. It's like trying to write a character. I'm gonna go back to LGBTQ because it makes more sense for me this way. It's like trying to write a story about a guy or a girl coming out to their parents when, number one, either you yourself are straight and cis and never had to come out to your parents, or usually that's because you never had. It's usually because you're straight, cis, and never had to come out to your parents. because in that sense, you don't know what it's like for people someone of that sexuality or gender to feel. You don't know what it's like for them to feel the fear coming out to their parents, and it's completely okay to admit that. It's perfectly fine. It's honestly, it's healthy to admit the fact that you understand that you don't understand what your character would be feeling. Yes, you know your character, but you don't know the experience. And it kind of goes the same thing with the Sun and Moon show. Is they write some really good characters, but sometimes characters need, if there's specific characters that need to be written in a sense where someone who feels the same way can actually relate to said character in that aspect. Like, for example, someone who is gender fluid. Um, if they want to go to relate to Monty, because Monty is gender fluid as well, and they had the whole thing with coming out, and honestly, I love the way they portrayed that. It was amazing. And the same thing for Roxas being trans. He had backlash and was basically to detransition by Fazbear. And it honestly, it was heartbreaking to see, but it's something that happens to people in real life. Now, of course, for Sun and Moon, they're all animatronics, but they're still sentient. They still have feelings and still act like people. Um, and again, thing with Roxas can happen to an actual human being and a real life person. So it was good that they put it there. But again, thing with Dahlia and any other character that has been told that they are a certain type of character but is not talked about enough, that's just wrong to me. So, and again, like my friend said, which again, love this, is that someone who does not experience what that character is experiencing should not be a sole writer. They can be the main writer, but they have to have help from someone who actually understands it, because they could misportray it. Um, we're gonna slightly shift to a more lighter note. Again, I want to do ships for both my things because it was nice. And honestly, I find ships really fun and a part of fandoms. They're so much fun to, like, shipping is really fun for me. I like seeing what other people ship and everyone's opinions. Or be nice to everyone. These are going to be my Sun and Moon show ships. Ships that I currently ship, ships I used to ship, and why. And ships I never ship or never did ship, and why. Ships that I honestly currently ship at the moment for the current Sun and Moon. Midnight Jester, which is Carmi and Moon. I heavily ship them, because for me it makes sense. I have been informed, and yes, I do know that Moon is Arrow Ace or on the Ace spectrum. I have actually been told by people part of that they can, they can actually be attracted to people. It's just unlikely. It's highly unlikely for that to happen. I still heavily ship them. I feel like it makes the most sense. Moon has honestly been the most comfortable with Carmi, and for me, it just makes sense for me. Another, I'm trying to think, another ship that I did. I don't really ship anything else at the moment besides Eclipse and Roxanne, which is kind of an Eclipse puppet show thing, but still ship them obviously because they're like perfect for each other. But another thing that I ship, or something that I did like used to ship, is probably is something that I used to ship outside of canon because people had got me really invested into this. Uh, this was during the time period when now I used to ship Sun and Eclipse. I'm gonna explain this. I don't know why I ship them honestly. I have no idea. But I will give context. So when I was shipping them, I don't ship them anymore. I find that honestly weird now. I don't. Not that they're brothers or anything, but I don't. Doesn't make sense to me anymore. It just no. Um. Just when I did ship them, it was during the time period where Ruin had trapped Eclipse in the back room, and while Eclipse was hanging out with Sun, he was slowly getting redeemed, in a sense. Of course, Moon didn't like this, so I had a whole AU planned out. Not really indicating AU at all. It was kind of just like completely different AU that made absolutely no sense. Counting, anyways. Another ship that I used to ship, still kind of do. I people really got me into Cosmo and Titan. I don't know why. Personally, I do think it's a good ship outside of canon. Number one, Cosmo dating Ares. I can respect that. They have a good relationship. They're so cute too. So, obviously that's a canon relationship. I'm not gonna mess that up because I want my ship to be canon. No. I did ship Titan and Cosmo for a little bit. People got me into it. Like, this is actually kind of interesting. Where like a Titan redeemed AU, where Cosmo and Ares weren't dating, but instead Titan got redeemed and they're dating Cosmo. If you actually look into it, people's actual opinions make kind of sense. Usually it is in a redeemed AU, so it is not in the sense of where Cosmo is falling for someone who is actively torturing his family members. Is more again in the sense where um, they're dating Titan who is redeemed and has repented in a sense for his actions. Sorry, counting again. Um, for ships that I again used to ship, because okay, I will say this flat out. I'll be very clear on this. I never saw Solar and Nexus as brothers. Ever. They never had that kind of relationship to me. They were always more of these, like, really, really flirty friends. Even, before his whole villain arc and his whole emo arc thing. No offense to emo people. They're pretty cool. Sorry, Netflix. My apologies. Anyways, sorry, inside joke for Cinemation fans. Anyways, I used to ship them because I thought, because again, for me, they gave off this, like, really flirty friendship vibes where, when you have that really, really close friend that you're so close that you, like, flirt with them, and they're, like, completely cool with it. That's the vibes that I got from Solar and Nexus. I don't know why. I just did, and it to me made sense. So, shipping occurred. Again, in my head, it made sense. After Nexus's whole villain arc, though, it kind of turned into angst. But, that's what happens to everything. So, sadly. Remember where to build first. And to add on to the whole list of what I used to ship, I did used to ship Lumini. I was very firm Lumini shipper. I was honestly really upset with the whole ending of that relationship. Because in my mind, it was cute. It was a cute idea. I honestly loved that idea. Because it was Cosmos's first relationship. It was really cute at the beginning. Like, I honestly loved it, where it was like Cosmo was teaching them things about Earth, and it was just really sweet and cute. And then she killed Eclipse, which, not great in the eyes of um, Astrals, obviously. Clearly, after we saw what happened after that. Um, but with it, it was honestly insane. I stopped shipping them after a while because number one, they grew really toxic. Anytime they interacted with each other, it wasn't just they broke up. No, they broke up on bad terms. Um, and I'm saying this quite literally. They broke up on bad terms because if you saw how they acted with each other, Pollux and Castor were very snarky with him after the breakup. And honestly, Cosmo was too. Honestly, kind of rightfully, I would be too. If, like, you still have to work with them after breaking up. Like, that would be insane, honestly. But I will say, I did not expect Pollux to be that snarky. Um, but, therefore, I, so, again, I'm multi-shipper, I ship people with multiple people. I used to be a very strong Soul Ruin shipper, which is Solar and Ruin. And then the death happened, and I was really upset because my ship was ruined and my favorite character died. Um, so that was great. I don't know, I just saw that it kind of just fit. Um, and just continue with this theme. Characters that I shipped. Characters I do currently ship though. I had to add one. Startles. Man, get them back together, please. They deserve love. We're built the wrong area. Give Nebula back to Solar with her memories back, please. Solar did not deserve that. Number one, he basically had his son lose his memories, and now he has to deal with his girlfriend losing memories too. Give my man an absolute break, like genuinely. I'm doing this wrong. Oh, whatever. Anyways, again, just genuinely give my man a break. Um, Also, again, more for just amusing, I will now state the ships that I will never ship, and I will explain them. Okay. Trying to figure out ones that I have seen. I've seen some really cursed ones, but I will not mention them because they don't deserve to be mentioned. Honestly, other than the cursed ones, I didn't really have any ships I didn't entirely and entirely dislike. There were some ships that I really disagreed with, but I don't really remember them. As you can see, I didn't really focus. I didn't really focus too much on them. I have seen some interesting ones though. I've seen Sun and Mars, um, which is kind of interesting. I've also seen Terra and Nebula, which, man, I love that. It fits so well, and it's really cute too. Like, I feel like it'd be such a sweet little relationship. I wasn't such a friendship on it, mostly because I really loved Monty and Terra's relationship. It was really cute and sweet, and that wasn't getting in the way of that at all. I loved them too much. But, um, back to the original story, original subject. Um, it became a kind of a huger thing for me, especially when, um, I will say there's a couple other ships that I've seen. I'm trying to think of the ones that I've seen now. I honestly haven't seen many. Um, okay. I haven't really seen much, so that's honestly a little upsetting. Um, I'm gonna be really, really quickly right back. So I'm gonna. I don't have a pause screen yet, so just give me a hot second. I don't have a pause screen yet. I will make one. Trust. That's not the right one. My apologies. Sorry, everyone. I am back. Let me unblock your screen. Um, I don't really have much to talk about other than, what I talked about today. Um, of course, people have their own opinions. They're allowed to have said opinions. We do not discriminate at all. But honestly, I'm just gonna go ahead and um honestly, so when it comes to stuff like this, honestly, I'm gonna be ranting about random stuff that pops up to my head and everything. Um, First of all, I always want to say this. So honestly, again, I'm a writer. I write occasionally. It has been recently popping up on my feed where authors are using AI to write, and I find that painful to listen to. Biggest reason is because I'm a writer who, like any writer, I suffer writer's block. Writer's block sucks, Any writer would know this. Writer's block absolutely sucks. Uh, the idea of people using AI hurts. Again, this is coming from a writer. Yes. Wrong thing. Um, Again, this is coming from a writer who completely and honestly, when I mean completely, understands how stuff like that, number one, just affects the writing community as well as the art community as well. I've seen multiple places affected by this. Um, I have artist friends, I have writer friends, and these communities that we thought were for creativity and everything else we thought it was built off of, and it's not. Of course, kind of sucks because we expect that our community would be civil people and use the creativity that has been given to them, and instead they choose to use AI. And um, as someone who, again, writes my own stories occasionally, this hurts. Like I said before. I keep repeating myself. I'm kind of losing topics to talk about. So, um, one of the biggest things that I feel like really, really affects, like, just anything in general, um, the art community. I love artists. I, um, always will. They do their amazing job. I've seen so many different art styles. They're all beautiful. They're all amazing. Um, I feel like the biggest issue with art is the way people use and or perceive it. Um, I have seen way too many occasions where I will be, normally scrolling, just browsing TikTok like I usually do because I have nothing better to do. I probably do, but I don't feel like going outside because it's too hot in my area. Um, I don't need to do that, whatever. One of the biggest things that I keep seeing is that one art style, or something along the lines where they're bashing on someone else's art style. I go to check it, and usually it's being taken as, and again, I sometimes I understand stuff like this, but sometimes it's just an art style, and I've seen way too many things like this, and I get some people don't like other people's art style. That's completely okay. That's completely fine. It's for me the fact of it being um that it's something I constantly see, and it's just I don't think it's a good thing to be okay to be seeing constantly, where it's a bunch of people hating on an art style. And of course, sometimes I can get by it. Sometimes I understand people don't like the art style, and I feel like when it comes to art, you have to have a sense of um kind of like responsibility of sorts, for like you have to understand that, because I remember hearing some stuff about like certain artists where some deleted their accounts, um, some completely made a new one so they could continue doing their art and posting online. And again, some of these artists I don't know. I never knew. They pop on my feed, whether because they were they drew characters as part of the fandoms I was in, etc. And stuff like that is just okay. I'm not number one. I'm not part of that community. I honestly never have pursued art. I find art beautiful. Yes. Have I ever pursued it? No. Never really had a big interest in it. Again, do find art beautiful, but I just don't have an interest in it. And I feel like, again, number one, I don't have a part to say of like any part of our community. So, and this is my opinion. It's when stuff like that pops on my feed, and I feel like I'm kind of going to a position where it's like I'm supposed to dislike the art style. Usually, other people say it's. See, I don't know if I can say these words on YouTube. I don't know how bad the YouTube stuff is, honestly. Oh, there's chickens! Sorry. um, but if you know what I'm talking about, adult stuff, basically. And usually it's just because they mischaracterize a character, and I mischaracterizing a character or completely change their design can get people upset. I understand that. I get upset over that too. Because personally, I go attachment to characters the way they look. I don't think they look good a certain way, or they don't look good a certain way. It's opinions, people. So yeah, it's just one of those things where you have to kind of just pick a lane on where you're gonna go, because kind of all depends. Um, Stuff like that. To kind of go forward with this kind of stuff, um, back to the writing though, because I honestly have decently strong opinions, stuff like this. Surprising, I know. Um, um, I personally, honestly, I am someone who's with fanfics. I like reading them, whether it be for a ship that I like or it be for an ex-reader thing. I like all of them. They're interesting to read. Usually, if the author is a good writer, I'm invested into it. It's like a book. They're nice to read. They're usually something that I read in my pastime when I'm bored. Uh, Occasionally, sometimes in the car, depending on the fanfic and where I am. Because, need something to do. And usually I don't have a book on me. Oh, jeez. So my phone. So obviously, you pick and choose where you want to read. Um, but I have I have yet to see AI fanfics, and I am so glad I have never been a part of that. I will say, as someone who, again, does read fanfics and everything, I personally have seen, again, sites like TikTok specifically, because again, that's where I get most of my information, which I know not a great site, I know. But I listen to some people in there, I get some advice. I don't take it all, but especially people who are on AO3 something like that, I usually believe them because AO3 people are they're pretty believable, and I honestly pretty much trust them because we all live in the same community. We know we want to help each other out. Um, sorry, just got distracted there. I've been told that um people are actively starting to post um AI fanfics or AI stories on AO3, and I don't post on there. Personally, I don't like the way it is. I feel like it's more for professional stuff. I'm more just writing for it because I want to. Can't really browse on there. You look up stories and you read them pretty much. Um, but as someone who uses AO3 as a reading source, I honestly prefer reading on AO3 than Wattpad because no offense to Wattpad writers, your stories sometimes don't make sense. Some are pretty decent. I've read some pretty good ones. But some of them are just usually the ones that I find are usually one shots that make absolutely no sense. Which, I mean, to be fair, I will state this. I feel like Wattpad is for like beginner writers, instead of like beginner fanfic writers, etc. Um, which, perfectly understandable. That's what I'm using. So, I get it. Again, no hate to new writers. You start somewhere, I started somewhere too. My stories are so cringy. But back to what I was saying. As someone who uses AO3 as a writing, not a writing source, a reading area, um, I usually get fanfics from ships specifically, or um, X readers from YouTube, TikTok, etc. Pinterest even, trying to find something new to read. It hurts knowing that some people post AI on there. Like, no. What's the point in this? What do you get out of that? And with that, it comes to a point where it's just like, okay, you're not even writing at this point. You're putting in a prompt, and you're most likely putting in a prompt and having the story write itself, and it's detrimental to new writers. I've heard stories where people have had to go back to school because the thing they wanted to be is being overrun by AI. I remember reading a comment on this was a video talking about how bad a guy's gotten, and one of the comments where I had to go back to school to be a nurse because I think it was a art or writing career wasn't working out because it was being taken over by AI, and that hurts because that should not be happening. That should not be what our society has turned into. And honestly, I will be the first to say it. Our society sucks. Humans, we suck. From the very beginning, we took what we shouldn't have. We were told we couldn't have. And we take things from people and that we shouldn't be. The human race genuinely sucks. I'm probably not even the first to say it, but I will say it loud and proud. The human race sucks. And just overall, it's just what time is. Sorry. I will genuinely say this. I don't understand how people look at the world and think, what can I place here? What can like, I don't get how people just look at the world and all they see is land. They don't see nature, they see land. And obviously, I will say this, I have seen some funny jokes where people will be like, it's like, the perfect plot of land, especially in Minecraft. People will be like, there's this perfect plot of land, perfect for a Walmart. And, as a Minecraft player, it is kind of funny. It is genuinely it's pretty funny. But again, it's something that we are accustomed to. And in most cases, it's pretty sick. Oh, whatever. Um, and again, I'm not the first to say it. And I know that I'm not the first to say it. It just sucks that we have to keep saying it. Um, for other topics, honestly, because I have no other idea what to talk about. um, can you all hear me? I think you can. This music's just kind of loud. At least in my ears it is. Um, anyways. Sorry, throat's like not cooperating. Um, another, just, another topic to talk about. Not really much ranting, just talking at this point. Um, like I said, I write on Wattpad. Yippee! I actually post stories on there. I have a story that I have like banished from my life. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, wrong thing. Whatever. Anyways, I have stories that I have written. Um, because I like writing stories. I actually have a published one. Surprisingly, I know. Yeah, I have a published story to write that I have written or writing. Oh, there's a cat. I hear it. Oh, there you are, baby. Oh, cutie. Um, um, like I have said, whatever. Anyways, um, something I was gonna say. Oh, yes. Okay. So yes, I have a Wattpad account. It is in my channel description. Um, I've already stated this. My writing is like genuinely cringy. Um, and I know it is. Just heads up. I know it's cringy. And I know that it's a little it's something alright. And again, I am fully aware. Um, still current. No. Why? Sorry. Anyways. Um, anyhow. Anyhow. Um, what was I gonna say? Yes. I am fully aware my stories are very cringy. I will say this. I am very aware that my stories are kind of cringy. Because I write them, and because I read them in the future, and I realize how cringy they are. I am working on dialogue, so if you have tips, I like them, please, in the comments of my writing, or on the comments of here, or just video tips. Either way, tips are welcome. Um, back to what I was saying though. Current stories that I'm actively writing. I am a fanfic writer. Yippee! I cannot do X Reader though. Reasoning? Um, I just genuinely suck at writing stories like that. That is mainly just because I don't know how to write stories like that. There's like. Sorry, I'm now just realizing I didn't have to. When did they change that? I swear you used to have to make this stone and then you could do this. Okay. Oh wait, how much do I need first? It is 5 by 4, that's 20, 20, 20, 40, 60. Bling! Oh, 60 and then 80. So there's your 60. Where's 20? Yippee. Actually, no. 18. Door. I know how to math. Maybe not well, but I know how to math. I got an A in geometry. Yes, that means something to me. Anyways. No. Anyways. Apologies. So back to story stuff. I'm getting distracted. Back to story stuff though. So currently I am stories that either will be published or already in the making of being published. I have a preview of one of the stories. The preview story is a story following a Fazbear employee named Andy. Yes, there. So I will say this much. Andy is not my real name. I want it to be. It is not my real name though. I kind of decided on this. I counted properly. Sorry. Anyways, I will state this very clearly. The name for me, Andy, was chosen, after the selection of the name of the character, Andy. It was not intentional to make the character's name my preferred name. That's not intentional. But in a sense, they technically are my self-insert of sorts. They are an OC of mine. In short terms, they are an OC of mine. Again, I cannot do it. The reason being is because my characters do certain things, so I know how to write the characters. I do not know how to write you. And I am someone who will get annoyed when my character does something that they should not be doing. I will state one example. Again, I love this in the other way. I will say this much. I was like, okay, this character first off is not me. When I was reading Love, Death, and Roller Skates by Spotdelicious on AO3, it's an amazing fanfic. I will not lie about that. It is a beautiful story. The main character, cannot roller skate. As someone who has been told they are really good at roller skating, that character MC, not me. Because I know how to roller skate decently. I can't do tricks, but I can, jeez. But I can skate. I can do that. I can do that much. The character can barely stand in skates. Like, I mean, they're bad. Where am I supposed to get? Where am I supposed to get sand from? There might be some English caves. Trust me, my brain makes sense. But again, I don't know how to write you. You are your. I'm in peaceful mode. Do not. Sorry, just cave sounds are playing. I can hear them. And they suck. Right as it come down here. Oh, there's more iron. I don't want that though. I want sand. I come here for one thing and one thing only, and that thing is sand. That's not sand. Where do I get sand in a dark oak forest? Just the one I didn't know picking the seed. Yes, I picked my seed. This is not naturally generated. It is, but not randomly selected. I can't select it. I just did. I did not know this was here though. I don't use the seed often. Ooze. Like, or at all. I hate how water is like, can't see it no more. Oh look! Except that. That's kind of cool though. quick things in it. I'm not gonna lose my base, trust me. I know where I'm going. I'm exploring a new area, that's what I'm doing. Oh, sorry, I forgot to explain the other story. I completely got off track. So again, the first story follows the Fazbear employee Andy, or full name, Andrea Moore. This is placed 3 months after an incident with the daycare attendant Moondrop. Yes, full legal name is coming out here. Full legal name, canon name, whatever you want to call it. I use Moondrop for occasions. This is a FNAF, of course, this is obviously a FNAF-based story. Just small rundown. Basically, what happens is first chapter, which hasn't been done yet, and beginning of the first chapter. I'm trying to like elongate my chapters. Beginning of first chapter, Andrea comes back 3 months after an incident, after being in the hospital. This is after she's been discharged for a while. She's not coming back straight after being in the hospital. My character is not insane. They kind of are. But that's because I'm sane. A little bit. Not really. Anyways. My character is sane enough. So basically, Andrea comes back again 3 months after an incident with the daycare attendant Moondrop. She used to work as the daycare attendant assistant. She was the assistant in the daycare. Not the daycare attendant, the assistant of the daycare attendant. She worked with both Sun and Moon and was typically very close to these two people. She was very close with Sun and Moon. People said that they actually bonded. And the incident will be explained morely in the story. I don't want to spoil it. But pretty much when Andrea comes back, this was Andrea. Sorry, Andrea. When Andrea comes back, to the Pizzaplex to start her new quote-unquote job as a night guard there, she is given one rule: do not interact with the animatronics. Oh, there's diamonds! I don't have an iron pickaxe though. And I'll say do not care. It is stated by Andrea herself that she states Fazbear doesn't actually care about their employees. They just don't want to risk another lawsuit, which, you know, fair. Again, there is more on the actual incident in the story and mostly in the first chapter. Again, don't want to spoil it. It is a slow burn romance between Moondrop and Andrea. Reason being is because number one, I would love to have Sun into this, but number one, I don't know how to write Sun very well. And another thing is, I will say this, I love polyamory. I absolutely do. But I will state, I suck at writing it in a sense where it's actually equal. Because, again, like I said, technically Andrea is my self-insert. As someone who Yumi ships himself with Sun and Moon. I'm a sharer, everyone is fine. I honestly don't care. They can be yours, we can be mine. We can share, it doesn't matter. But again, because Andrea is my self-insert, I, as someone again who Yumi ships myself with Sun and Moon, has always been more tied to Moon than I have Sun, so that is implemented into most of my characters. So therefore, that is another reason why, is because, again, I don't want it to be more of a one-sided relationship with a polyamory issue. Because number one, I have not been in a polyamorous relationship before. I have no place in writing about that when I don't know what it's like. Number two, I have not experienced polyamory. I have had contact with multiple people, but does not mean I've been in a relationship with multiple people. I don't know how polyamory works. Am I interested into it? Sure. Would I be open to it? My partner is okay with it? Yeah, go for it. Is that another one? No. I'm lost. You're like, you know your way. Yeah, I said I knew my way. I lied. I was too busy talking. So that's just a rundown of my story. It is called Forever Your Starlight. Yes, I already warned you. Cringe. Yes, I'm aware it's kind of cringy. But trust, it's gonna get better. I'm not gonna name my stories though. There is one that I am possibly going to, start posting once the first chapter done. I haven't actually back into writing it though. Is so this story yet to have a name. This story is not FNAF based, so you are safe. People who are not into FNAF, you are safe. Here is a non-FNAF themed story. Okay, so this story follows the characters Haley and Mark. Yes, Mark. Sorry, I'm trying to remember their names. I know Haley's name. I keep forgetting Mark because I keep thinking it's Max. It's not Max. Trust me, I love that name. It is not Max though. I also just checked that, but I don't want to. So yeah. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I can't find my way up. Wood on me either. Which sucks for me, because I have add-ons that would help, but whatever. Okay, so I feel like I'm getting closer to the surface. My thing, like, is going to break, though. So, like, I'd rather not. Oh, come on. Like, you never should dig up. It's bad. Yes, I'm aware. Oh. Why are we doing this to me? I'm going to be traps. Oh, I'm not that far, actually. A minute. No, I'm getting up higher. We're good. Please don't murder me. I will cry. I won't, but you know, hyperboles. Oh my gosh, yes! Yes! Freedom at last! I have no clue where my home is. It's fine, I'll find the huge building. Maybe. Maybe not. Hopefully I will, though. Oh, wait. It's this way. Oh, hi, sheep! It's should be this way. So that's the... I better not be, like, confusing myself. Give me a minute. Oh, there it is! See, I told you I'd find my way back. Totally wasn't... Totally was not lost. Totally wasn't pure luck. Anyways, I keep getting distracted. Um, my other story, which is unnamed, is about two characters, Haley and Mark. Fair, sorry, the name is Mark. It's not. My apologies. It's an M name though. Trust me. Um. Anyways, uh, this story follows again two characters, Haley and Mark, and quite honest, quite honestly, they're they're quote unquote just friends. Yes, all my stories have romance in them. I am a person who has a love for romance stories. Um, because I just do. I find them really sweet to write. Um, anyways, um, um, so pretty much, I don't really have much written down besides the fact that we are slowly getting to the fact where Mark is developing a crush on Haley, mostly because we notice this because number one, he's noticing the smaller details. He is and during one scene he points out all the little details, like the smaller details of her appearance, um, and basically just talks pretty good about her overall, making sure she's okay. Um, little background information. Because I think I have to explain this for my friend and all that, and I think I should explain it to you guys if we're gonna read it. Is so Haley doesn't have a house. She has a stable income. She just refuses to buy a house because in her head, why get a house? It's a, for her, it's a quote unquote waste of money when she can hang out in hotels, motels, or typically occasionally room with friends. Personally, she just does not see a need to um have a house. By her own personalness, she doesn't have another reason. She just doesn't want to. She doesn't want to have a house. There's like no other reason to explain that. Her on that foreign character detail, she just doesn't want a house. That's basically the key part of her character, which is the reason why Mark is constantly, making sure that she's okay. Because in like the beginning, it's summertime. So in the beginning, after the first interaction, he says, "Hey, I want to come over to my house. It's supposed to get really hot today, and I don't want you passing out." He says this because he understands she won't take care of herself because she's used to just being on her own. Again, this is where we get the whole we know Hannah he has a crush on her, etc., etc., etc. Which again, it's genuinely really sweet, and I'm reading it. I try to write it in like the best way. No, anyways, I try to write it in like the best way possible, where people will understand what I'm trying to get at. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay. And with this, um, of course, Haley isn't used to receiving this gratitude. She's her basically her own kind of. From what I got so far, is Margaret's kind of like her only friend in the beginning of the story, from what you can gather. She doesn't really know many people, so kind of just, you know, existing. She doesn't kind of know where to go. Kind of just is places. No. There we go. computer. Anyways, one there. Screwed up enough. Put one right there. And then I'll put one in. Oh! Ceiling. That would be helpful. That's 5 by 5. So that's 25. I'm here. So yeah, I don't really have much for that story kind of based down. I do have a published story. It probably will not be updated because I lost motivation for the story, mostly because during the time, my other friend got into writing, and during that time, I had been trying to find something that was my thing of the friend group, that wasn't just being the responsible mom friend. Mostly, honestly, I really hated that role in my friend group. I felt like it was really diminishing, and I wasn't actually really a part of anything. I was just the mom friend. I was just there. And yeah, it was something, honestly. I'm probably gonna end stream here. It's 12 o'clock, like 12 in the morning where I am. Not that I'll be able to sleep, but um, I was in a statement being here is the reason why I'm continuing the story is the reason why the story would not be was discontinued is because during that time again I've been trying to find something of my own where I was something else than just the mom friend of the friend group. So when I got into writing, I thought, oh, cool, I can be the writer of the friend group because we had different roles. We had the artist of the friend group. We had the fashionista of the friend group. We had different roles correlating to our friend group, just a couple of few that we specifically knew. Although we just they had their own rules, we just didn't have names for them. But they had their place in the friend group. We knew who they were. We knew when to talk to them. We knew what to talk to them about, etc. And I was just the therapist slash mom friend, and it was something that I wanted to grow out of because I wanted to be more. Sorry, I wanted to be more than just a mom friend. So I was thought, hey, I'm gonna get into writing, and it was my thing. Writing was my thing for the past couple years, like the 2 years. And then my friends are getting into writing, and she was writing more horror aspect stuff. Still OC slash self insert stuff, but OC things. But it was horror, and not what I was writing. And she was writing that. We both posted this on Wattpad and everything, so we'd see each other's, advancements and everything. Um, and the reason why I felt, the reason why I stopped writing and lost motivation really wasn't the fact of just my story wasn't getting like views or whatever, or being read. It was the fact that in my head, I was the writer of the friend group. That was who I was because that's all I thought that I could be. And when I would go to her story and it had 10 times more views than mine did, which still isn't a lot, but it being more than mine, I was jealous, I was envious, and I slowly stopped writing and stopped publishing because I felt, okay, no one's gonna read this. What's the point anymore? Um, Basically the story was another Moon X OC um It was a human AU of Sun and Moon. It was a, again, human AU of Sun and Moon, where the main character, Nova, and it was which point of view is between Nova and Moon. But the main character, Nova, worked with Sun and Moon. There was a past between them. They had been, again, they had they had been working with each other for a while. They had grown close. Again, they eventually both developed a crush on each other, stuff like that, etc. And um, by the end of it, they were dating. I had this whole other chapter planned out where there was this sweet moment of just like a small little dance in the daycare and back at Nova's apartment. It's very unclear and it's very poorly written. I will say that much, and I completely go with it. It's poorly written. Because something that makes sense. At one point, Sun and Moon live in the pizza box, at another section they have their own apartment. It's confusing, but yeah, it there's gaps in there, but it was mostly the idea of the fact that I was felt like I was publishing more often, and I again we didn't really talk about our stuff, but I feel like in my head, my brain went, if she's getting more views than I am, what's the point in me writing anymore? So yeah, that's why I'm writing that. It is called Daycare Daydreams. Um, my account is listed in my channel bio on Wattpad. That's my account for my writing stuff. Other currently published one is Forever Your Starlight. Overall, um, I'm not forcing guys to read these. Most people haven't even seen this live, and I don't expect people to. Um, Overall, it's just a random stream to do. Um, I hope you all have a wonderful day slash night. Over the summer, I'll be doing more. I want to try doing more live streams. They're kind of fun to do, and I like talking to people. Um, so have a good day slash night, and I will see you guys later.